Putting communities first.
That's on a shirt that we have, ain't it? It's just a little long.
It's a little long. It's 3
Keeping the
words.
community first. Putting communities.
Keeping
first.
community first?
Keeping communities first.
At that point, just say it's the community's first podcast.
That's what I want to do.
All right, welcome once again to the No Name Podcast. The reason why we have no name is because we just haven't came up with one yet, but we didn't want to stop us from progressing with this wonderful podcast. I know we have so many different names, but one day we'll come up with something here pretty soon. But I am joined here with my amazing partner, co-host, and I am so lucky to have her as my wife as well, and friend, Essence Wilson. Thanks,
Well,
Essence, for always being here with me. I appreciate that.
I am certainly a team player, but you're the other part of the team. You didn't even introduce yourself. This is the amazing Glenn Wilson, President and CEO, Communities First.
What's up? This is always fun.
It's a good time.
We definitely have a good time.
So what are we here to talk about today?
Can you believe it's been 15 years with Communities First? And when you think about the number 15, it just goes, wow, that is a long time. I can't believe that we are here at this particular moment. So this is going to be an interesting conversation to talk about 15 years. Like, when you think about 15 years, what does that look like to you? Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I would think about it this way. If you looked at the organization as a baby and it grew up and it was 15 years old, it's in driver's training, freshman or sophomore year of high school. I don't know. It's kind of a way to think about, growth over time and the different stages of life that you go through as a person, but then also the different stages of growth that we've gone through as an organization.
It's Essence. I can't believe it's been 15 years. It's been a milestone for us as an organization. It's been fabulous to get here. When you think about the time that is, the time, the work, the effort, the intentionality. I mean, would you ever think we'd be at 15 years at this point?
No. And yes, I think we had a good plan from the start. I think we had a lot of ambition and we were able to put strategy to it. But I certainly don't think on day one of starting Communities First that we were considering how long we would be doing this work. So yeah, definitely being 15 years in and thinking towards, what does this next iteration of the organization look like has been really exciting, but also a time for reflection.
That's true, especially when you think about reflecting about where we started. I mean, it went from meeting at the library. I remember when we didn't even have an office, we used to tell people, hey, come meet us. And they're like, where are we meeting? Oh, just meet us at the library. So between like the Flint Public Library and the Genesee County,
Genesee District Library.
Genesee District Library in Grand Blanc, I think between both of those places, we had many meetings starting out the organization, and we would just confiscate like one of their meeting rooms for a whole day and have people coming in, lining up, meeting. And I thought about it, they didn't have that many rooms, so they were probably like, man, they don't never leave that space. We probably should have put a little sign up.
We had a couple of books. You take them in there. You go and read and meet. And that's
absolutely.
fun.
I remember they had the foundation center where you can look up grants and foundations at the Flint Public Library. And you go over there and you better go, oh, let me look at that, and then go and meet with people again. So it's been an interesting evolution, right, of the organization over time.
For sure. So in thinking about that, what do you think are some of the key elements? One of the things that I think about are the people that have helped us to get here. Truly we couldn't do what we do without volunteers, without our staff, without donors. Are there any people that come to mind for you that maybe are special or near and dear to your heart that have been contributors to our success?
Oh, wow. There are so many people that I can think about. I'm going to feel so bad if I don't name them all. So you're going to put me in a place now that if somebody hears this, they might be like, oh, my God, he didn't mention me.
All right, so here's the disclaimer. I got you.
Okay.
Here's the disclaimer. So Glenn and I are about to share a few names This is not planned or intended, just what we're thinking of right now.
At this
There is
moment.
an extremely long list. And know
Absolutely.
that if you're watching, you are on that list of contributors to the success of this organization. So we've got everybody covered,
Mhm.
but feel free to pick out just a person or two or a situation with a person.
I'm probably gonna pick out a few people. So
Okay.
like Dr. Sam and Jane Disman, you know, wonderful couple. Always so nice, you know, to work with them. They were always saying, you know, shine your light, be a light in the community. Good example. Bill and Kitty Moeller, we met them early at the organization. I mean, I can't tell you how many doors that Bill Moeller and Kitty was like, hey, you know, come with me to this event or do this. Also another name, Lynn Horan. Lynn has always been very supportive. And her brother Gary and Carol. I think of like Janice Harden. I mean, who else you got? I mean, there are so many people. I mean, Landell family. I mean, Sue Peters, that was at that time at LIS, Sada Rios at Ruthmont Foundation when she was first there. I mean, I can go on with a list and list thinking about people, even some of our older board members that was on our board at that time as well, like Dr. Goodman, Dina, and you know, other people. Just, you know, we first started. I mean, it's been an ebb and flow over the last 15 years, but just thinking about, you know, all the people that's been a part of the journey to help us get to where we are now has been. What about you?
So I would say many of the same names, but what I noticed as you were saying those names was the smile on my face and, you know, the joy that genuinely is in my heart.
Yeah.
And I'm trying not to cry a little bit because some of those folks have passed on. Think about the Van Dynes. But the common thread with each
Dick
of
and
them,
Kim Scab.
the Scavs, yeah.
Yeah.
The common thread, I think, is that they all contributed in their own way.
Yeah.
Right. Some as volunteers, some financially, some just offering kind words and encouragement, not because they knew we were going through some difficult challenge, but because they know that there are challenges inherent to the type of work that we're doing. And I think listening to them at different times and knowing that they all had a heart to see the work being done, even if they weren't the ones to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that just resonates with me continually, as over the 15 years we've seen others start endeavors and start businesses or start nonprofits or start projects or programs, that we've had the opportunity to be that for so many others and provide a word of encouragement or to, you know, make a donation or a contribution to their work or be a listening ear. So I think it's just been kind of cool over that time to pay it forward and start to become that same sort of support and encouragement to people that so many others have been to us. So.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's like we focus on all the people who don't support us at times, and then we said one day, it was like, you know what, we're focused on the wrong thing. We need to turn our attention on the people who do support us, the people that rock with us, not the people who don't rock with you. Because sometimes you just get caught up in that, like, why ain't this person supporting me? Why ain't this person doing this? Man, you got just more names coming to me now. It's just like, and then I'm just thinking about it. I'm just like, man, there's some great people like Marsha and Bob Wesley, Charlie Kettering. I mean, you just,
My mom.
your mom, yeah, Deborah. And so, I mean, this list can literally go on and on.
Yeah.
Gary Heidel at the State Housing Development Authority early.
Oh gosh, the
Mark
HUD
McDaniel.
HUD team.
Yeah, HUD team, Mike Posanelli, Sharon Seaborn, she passed away.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many names. I mean, and it's amazing how some of these have transitioned, like where some of the relationships that we built over the last several years were relationships that came out of relationships that we built at the beginning. And so now we have some of these relationships with people that are different now in different ways. And
You know what would be really fun?
Yeah.
At the end of the podcast, to do one of those scrolling name things, but make sure it scrolls so fast that people don't know if their name was on there or not.
Oh, yeah. So, we'll just put a list of everybody we get to say, thank you, everyone, for helping us for 15 years. Yes, I'm down with that.
But so many folks, and so if you didn't happen to hear your name, know that that's no slight to you or your contributions. There's just so many people over a 15-year span. So, we have hundreds of folks that volunteer with us every year, and donors and contributors. It's just been a really amazing journey, and I think so fulfilling. So as we think forward to, what comes next, I would ask, I guess, what are maybe some key things that we can expect from the organization over the next, I'll say 15 years, but shorter or longer, doesn't matter. What do you think?
Sometimes I would think, and they say if you want a good laugh, tell God your plans. I really don't know exactly where we'll be in 15 years, other than I hope that we continue to thrive. I hope that we continue to meet community needs in a big way that's impactful. And I also hope that we are able to continue to see needs and be adaptable, and that we're at the point that, we'll be able to think about how the organization, I think we're doing it now, but how we're building the next generation of leaders within the organization for people to do this work, not just here, but around the country. Because, our organization is being recognized across the country for the work that we do. And so I really see some expansive nature of, how do we look across our footprint, as an organization, how does that look? And then, how are we developing people, and how are they expanding out within our team? There's so many things, that we can talk about as far as how it will look in 15 years. But I just want it to be mission oriented. You want it to be right. I want us to do good and do well as an organization. So thriving, not surviving. Thriving, not surviving.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you?
Oh gosh, I feel like we will always, be in the business of producing affordable housing options.
Absolutely.
I would love to see us diversify a little bit more from multifamily. We've talked about that, and doing, some, duplexes, townhomes, other housing types, just because, some neighborhoods, some communities lend themselves to other housing types. So I don't ever see us getting away from affordable housing, just because we know how much of a need there is, and honestly, that was where we started as an organization. We've grown a lot when it comes to economic mobility and providing programs and resources for people to increase their income and to become more economically mobile. And I see that as another kind of growth area for us. We've had some really exciting conversations about some of our programs, and really just want to see people as well, just as you said with the organization, as we're thriving, seeing other members of our community thrive as well. And I think one thing that we've realized is a lot of times there's not just a lack of resources. People talk about that, or a lack of funding, or a lack of, finances to do some of this work. A lot of times there's just not a good coordination of systems, programs, dollars. And I think we do a lot of good work to help people navigate through that, so that they can maximize the benefit for themselves and hopefully position themselves for greatness. I've always loved that we included this bucket of innovative programming, because that allows us the flexibility to do some really cool and amazing things.
Right.
There's nothing like seeing the joy on a kid's face going skiing for the first time, or taking them out on a boat and they've never been on the water. And to not do that just as a kid.
Diving.
Oh, scuba diving.
You
What
know?
an amazing
I've never been
experience.
scuba diving, right? Like, I've been snorkeling, but I've never been scuba diving. So
Yeah.
that was fun. And now because we were exposed to it too at the same time. We're like, oh, let's take some scuba diving and get certified, right? So it's not just a income thing, but it really gets down to an exposure thing. And it makes me think about like culture shock, like when that program was created, I don't know, almost 12, 13 years ago, as a program that was evolving, was really about giving people those experiences and letting people know everything doesn't have to have a cost for you to have a good time. And then there are things to do in your particular community. You might just be looking in the wrong places, or might not have the exposure to those particular places. So, taking families to the symphony, taking families down to, a Tigers game, Pistons. There are so many. We went curling. I mean, you think about Culture Shock. I mean, it's been one of those programs that's really just opened up the eyes of so many people, and we see these individuals in the community. And it's funny how when some of these kids now, that's the other thing. It shows you how old you're getting, because we've had kids that used to come to like movies under the stars, and I just literally like one kid that was used to come all the time when they were little. Now I just saw their sophomore year at Michigan State University, and I'm like, hold on, slow down. Why are you?
Or we'll see older kids that are participating, and now they're coming with their young children.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 15 years,
Yeah.
right? So
We even had an intern named Phil.
Uh-huh.
At one point, and Phil was like, oh man, we used to have a good time with Phil as an intern, and then Phil now he's a family man with kids, working at some company now called Communities First. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
running podcasts and doing some great things.
Yeah, I don't know who he is.
It's been amazing to be, I think, to that point, a part of the evolution of people in our community, and just seeing people grow and learn and become who they are. And I think you said something really important about families. A lot of programs are designed around children, which is great, and kids need exposure and opportunities. But being able to do that in the context of a family, I think, has been really, really powerful towards that change we want to see.
I think it's been good to see our team. Just that's also while we're doing this, I think everybody think about it in a nutshell. But like the people who supports this work, or people that's been with us for a while, like Renee and Mike, and some of our board members, that's Jason, that's been around for a while. Has really been very supportive of, hey, what do we need to do to make sure that we can increase this? So it's not only like about having highly talented people, but it's like having highly talented people that have compassion, empathy, and want to see things get done. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's being able to see that tangible change in community and see the revitalization of neighborhoods through construction of buildings or renovations of buildings. I think is super impactful, super powerful, because you can drive by it on a day-to-day basis and see physical change.
It'll be there forever.
It'll be there, well, for a long time, I guess.
Hopefully it outlives us.
Hopefully it outlives us, so that's valid. But then being able to see, the change that happens in people. And I think changing the physical landscape of communities at the same time that we are supporting community members in their journey is a really, really powerful thing. Most organizations do one or the other, or maybe don't do it in such a comprehensive and kind of integrated way as what Communities First has become. So in the very, very early days, when we first filled out our application for a 501c3 and did our first project, I'm just curious, Glenn, what were you thinking?
You know what? Obviously, I wasn't thinking. Because if I know what I know now, I don't know if I'm still doing the same thing. It's like when you talk about, ignorance, like not knowing things. It's like, oh, that's a recipe for making something successful, because you have no clue how hard it's supposed to be. I think the biggest thing was, at that point, it's like, even though we're not a faith-based organization, faith is important for me, just, you as well. But just praying about it, and when the Lord put it on the heart, and it was just like, you can still rebuild the communities and neighborhoods. Because I'm thinking, I'm going to go to NFL and play ball. I'm going to come back, rebuild the city. And it's just interesting how it just evolved in a different way than how I saw it happening. But I've still been able to, make an impact and to see things change. Because, and even the friends, I remember first started, it was like, oh, we're going to start this 501c3. And I remember first like, oh, you need a donation, and I was like, oh, and I remember Ty from New Orleans, a buddy of mine, he just sent us a check just like out the blue, like when we first started. And I was like, okay, and so I think about like all those intricacies of the beginning of like people didn't even know, like while we were working on that stuff. Like I had some health challenges, I had some surgeries. It was like so much that was going on that made you really think. I mean, you were definitely, as you know, very supportive, but it was so many things that were going on at that time that you really know, like, that the hand of God had to be on our organization for it to do what it had to do. Because I remember our first hire was like the CFO. I didn't pay myself, He's like, we need to make sure our finances are in order, and we hired the finance person or the finance group to make sure that our finances were taken care of. And so, I think that's one thing why we've been here is trying to be fiscally responsible with the resources that we get and trying to be responsible, being responsible as much as possible. But then also taking big chances and risk that are calculated, but taking risk that is saying, hey, you got to swing for the fences. Sometimes you're going, but when you swing for the fences, sometimes you get, you get on base. It might not be the home run at that particular time. And when you get on base, you just go from base to base until you make it home on whatever that project is. And I think we've done a good job at swinging, using what we have to the best of our ability and maximizing it so it could be something very fruitful in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we think about some of the successes that we've had and, on a kind of a macro level. We think about, developing and owning about 600 units of housing.
Oh,
we
we're
think
over
about
that now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The
Yeah,
number
we're
has
over that.
increased
Yeah.
since I last updated my statistics. But, tens of millions of dollars of investment in real estate projects and
Over 100 million.
over 100 million now. And so, you think about the number of people that we've impacted and all of the work that we have done. And, it's not without its fair share of challenges and difficulties.
Yeah.
I don't think we get nearly enough sleep or downtime. And, it seems like there's always something. Even when we were getting ready to prepare for this, I felt bad for the team that's helping us to produce the podcast. I said I'd be back in 5 minutes. 20 minutes later, I had 3 people stop me in the hallway, not because anything was wrong necessarily, but because, we're valuable resources and assets to the organization, and we can, help to accelerate getting to a viable solution, maybe a little bit quicker. And I can remember that same sort of mindset, like in the beginning of developing, what was it that we used to say we were developing?
With the community in mind.
No, not that one.
Oh.
Was it creative solutions for complex problems?
Yeah,
right?
Creative solutions for complex problems.
There's always a way to figure it out. And I, think about times when, funding didn't work out the way that it was supposed to, but we go on this journey, right? And it feels like it's supposed to be a linear, you go from A to B.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's you go A, C, F, G, H, I, J, K, and then you come right back to B.
Because the amount of stories that we just haven't even shared publicly is just about the difficulties, right? So, I mean, sometimes people see all the glory, and you hear this before, and it's kind of a cliche thing, but it's true. It's like, people see all this stuff, and they're like, wow, that's wonderful. But then, like, underneath the veil, or, like, you go behind these curtains, you like, oh, my God, you were going through what?
Yeah.
What happened? So I think that's why we take it so serious, is because we know all the things or the sacrifices, not only of just, like, us, but our team, board, individuals that's given to the organization, and people that don't have to share, like, their time, talent, and treasure with us, that continue to do it each and every day or each year. To help us do the work. I mean, you really get to a place of gratitude, and it makes it sometimes easier when you focus on that. It's like, hey, yes, there's all this chaos that's going on in the world, but we do have a group of, solid people and individuals that's really saying, what can I do to try to lighten the burden, whatever way that might be, and put their hands up, roll up their sleeves, and say, let's get to work.
Yeah, for sure. One story that comes to mind is, I don't know if you remember, so we were accepted into a program, gosh, this would have been 2016 or 17. So we had a chance to go to Australia as part of the program. So we get on the plane, go to Australia, and of course you have no cell phone service, when you on the plane, right? So we touch down and turn our phones on. And it's not funny. It's funny now, right? So all of these alerts and phone calls and emails, and it's total chaos in the sense that the alarm company at our office was trying to reach us. I don't know if you remember this. So I don't know how long was the flight. I don't know how long
And that
flight
second
was.
flight was like almost 12 hours, I think.
Yeah,
12 or
so here we are, touchdown. We get this message, and it was within like the 30 minutes or so before that. But anyway, there had been an attempted break-in at our office, and we thought about who we could call, and it was really cool that I think my mom, we had a volunteer, I think it was Dondre, and there was somebody else that all like picked up the phone when we called, knew that we were out of the country, like went over, triaged the situation, fixed the door, and like just took care of it. And so people don't have to do that kind of stuff.
No, they don't.
No, none of those folks were being paid to do that
at all.
But just kind of like the willingness of people to just kind of come alongside us, and so that we didn't have to be halfway across the world worried about whether or not people were intruding in our office. Then I remember that night we were watching doing the normal nightly scroll through Facebook, right? Remember there was that fire?
Oh, yeah. So we had a warehouse, and I was scrolling through Facebook literally at like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night.
That building
And I
looks
said,
familiar.
man, that building looks so familiar. And then I scrolled by, and I said, hold on, let me go back. And I went back, opened it up, and I was like, oh my God, I think our building is on fire. So my eyes got so big. And when I mean, it was like 20 fire trucks. I mean, flames was to the ceiling. And I remember hopping in the car. I took off to drive to the warehouse. And what happened was our warehouse was attached to another warehouse. And the warehouse that was attached to ours had caught on fire. And they had nothing but flammable stuff.
All flammable
All
stuff.
flammable stuff. So at any point, at any moment, I thought our building was going to blow up. But the fire department, what they did was just put one truck of water and just put it on our building. I remember that. They just let it just soak, and they just drenched our building. But that building next door, I mean, to see it charred up in the way it was, I couldn't believe that our building did not have. I mean, it sustained damage, and we had to fix some roof, because how hot it got. But I'll never forget that. I mean,
And so that's a good example of the example I gave, A to B, right? So the linear thing would have been we had tried to buy that building next to us.
Yeah.
And so that would have been really simple, right? But we had to go all the way around, and unfortunately there was a fire. Unfortunately, all of those things happened. But at that point, they had to clear the land because they couldn't.
I think the owner, what he said, he just decided not to rebuild.
Yeah.
And not rebuild there.
Right.
Because he ended up rebuilding in a different place, and then we ended up getting the land, and he gave it to us for very reasonable cost.
So we were able to buy the land next door. So
Yeah.
a lot of things, I say all that to say that, through difficulty and, kind of like quirky challenges, we've had so many situations where, opportunities that we thought maybe were missed or weren't viable have come back around, which is kind of cool. And I think over the course of 15 years, you get the benefit of seeing a lot of that happen, where you think one thing's going to happen, it doesn't happen, but 3 years later, you kind of can see it coming up again.
Absolutely.
So, it hasn't always been easy. We started small, we've built, we've continued to grow. What are you looking forward to as we start the year?
What am I looking for this year? Our theme this year internally as an organization is the standard is elite. I'm really looking for our organization to really take it to the next level of consistency, a level of trying to perfect the things that we're doing to make things a lot better in order to really effectuate change. I'm really looking forward to, people on our team doing what we need to do for long-term sustainability of the organization. So, looking forward to raising a lot of money this year, because you need the resources to do the work. I'm looking forward to doing our first gala. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, to think about, we've been around 15 years, and how many nonprofits we know, we've been to 2, 3, 4 of their galas. Never had our own. I remember we were going to try to do it for year 10, and then we had COVID. and that was going to try to be our first one. We never did one at 5. We didn't do that one in 1 year. We do it at 5. We do it at 10. So it's going to be interesting to see, what a gala looks like for us, and I think it might be a surprise for people as well. It's like, man, you guys going to do a gala? So I'm looking forward to celebrating as well this year. So it's one is being appreciative and reflective, and the second part of that is celebrating, and while also getting excited about the future.
Yeah, very good. Another thing that I've been thinking a lot about is, collaboration and partnerships, and we've partnered with so many, nonprofits, with companies, with, government, so many different partners. So we know that collaboration is key. Communities First does a lot, but we don't do everything.
Yep.
And that's good that we don't do everything, because it gives us the opportunity to work with others. So I think we're continually looking for partnerships to support our work, to support community members, and just to collectively go further faster. Do you agree?
I would definitely agree.
So, I'm just appreciative to, everybody, individual, every family, every donor, everybody who's been a part of this journey. It's been literally a wild ride. Sometimes it just feels like things are all over the place, but in a good way. And I always say that people are like, oh, well, how are you doing? Wow, there's a lot going on, but in a good way, We've had some challenges, but ultimately in a good way, and I think everything, good, bad, or whatever, has led us to a great place where we're celebrating 15 years, and we're on the, I get to use a big word, on the precipice.
Oh.
See how I did that?
Was that cathartic?
It really was. We're going to bring up the thesaurus next time. But anyhow, it has truly been a great journey.
Wordplay. Let's go.
And, I think a great, partnership between you and I. We each have our own strengths, and I'm glad to have lent those strengths to such an impactful and amazing organization. So,
yeah, 15 years is here. Like, it's no going back. When you really think about when you reflect on the time, the amount of work, it's a lot of body of work, and the things that we haven't even shared, the things that we've got to work on even behind the scenes that people don't know that we've done in community. Sometimes people, you've been recognized for this, or you recognize it, and it's like, man, if I really told you what we were just working on, or a conversation that we were just having with XYZ office, or the strategy that we were working to make sure that people that were normally forgotten about was making sure that they were at the table because we were there. It's been interesting to build. The other thing I'll say in 15 years, it's been interesting to start building as you build your own table. Most people I know, we always say we hate that analogy when people be like, oh, I didn't get invited to the table.
I didn't get a seat at the table.
I didn't get a seat. And we said, you know what, we're going to quit trying to have a seat at everybody's table, because it doesn't mean it's for communities first. Like, you have to build a table around people and community and make sure that they're there at your table, and then using our resources and who we are as an organization to really create the change that we want to see in our community. So, how does the organization, leverage and have access to the things that we need in order to help additional people? I can't wait, when we're serving thousands. We're already serving over 35,000 people, but I'm talking about, like, when we start moving to, 100,000, 150,000, 200,000 people, what does that look like in the future? Those are some of the things that's got me excited. Like, you mentioned the donors. None of this work we could do without donors being with us, our volunteers, our staff, and everyone that wants to play a part. Because I said it earlier, but your time, your talent, and your treasure is very important. And for those who really want to take this journey with us, for those that want to go into this precipice of the future, I feel like I was going to preach a sermon with that. there is space here and there is room to really see change. And if you don't have the time, we have the time and the workers, the skills, the ability to get things done. So we appreciate you, and we ask you to join us in this work to help us get through the next 15 years. Don't let this be, oh man, they made it. No, we have not made it. By the grace of God, we're at where we're at today. But I think there is so much more that we can do and so much more that can come with true partnership. So if there's something that any of the people that's looking for us on podcasts or any of our social media platforms, if you hear this, please reach out if you want to get involved and you want to help. We can use you. And when I say use you, I'm talking about your partnership in whatever way and capacity you're able to assist with that.
So I think we can sum it up by saying we have come a mighty long way, but there is much more to come.